All right. Thank you for joining us tonight for Lou Peralta's Artist Talk, which I'm very excited about. I'm Hamida Glasgow, the Executive Director and Curator at the Center for Fine Art Photography. And this is, we've been doing, this year in 2024, we're doing Artist Talks every other month. And so this is in the series of that. Um, I wanted to introduce Lou, um, who the introduction is, we'll give you an introduction to her, but obviously, hopefully you've all gone to her website. You've seen the sort of the history where she came through, how she came up in photography and then what she's doing now. But she is a visual artist and photographer based in Mexico City. She graduated in graphic design uh, at the Universidad, I'm going to butcher this, Iberoamericana. And then she followed the family tradition by becoming part of the fourth generation of photographers from the family of the legendary Herrera Portrait Studios in Mexico City. Over the following 30 years, she established herself as a photographer for the magazine FotoForum, as well as having done work for other magazines such as Marie Claire, Vogue, among others. Her work is influenced by pre-Hispanic and contemporary culture, which she fuses together as she seeks to explore in depth the meaning behind the concept of a portrait. Fueled by her desire to push the boundaries of traditional two-dimensional photographic portraits, she deconstructs and then reconstructs her work by adorning with the interweaving of a variety of items, such as corn husks, agave cactus fibers, market bags, and copper thread, in order to transform them into three-dimensional works of art. She has had multiple solo and collective shows, both internationally and in Mexico. And she was named an ambassador to Fujifilm as part of their ex-photographers program, and also is an elected member of Crafts Cameramen of America International. And now Lou will share with us a little bit about herself and her work. And hold on, I'm going to make you, wait, never mind. Okay. Luke, are you able to share your?
Yes, here I am. Hello, everybody. Thank you to the Center for Fine Art Photography. Thank you, Hamida, Marcela. And I've seen many photographers that I admire. Thank you for being here. It's an honor and a pleasure. And it's me, so JP, Kathleen, Marina. Okay, let's start. Let me put my screen in full frame. And this is what I'm going to talk about. Let me put all the names here. This is how I started: cutting paper, embedding, photo sculptures, tools, adhesives, and a video at the end. And then let me share with you, I was born in a photographic family, and literally almost all the members of my family were photographers. This is a kind of narrative photography my father did to announce every time a new brother was going to be born. So when I was 17, I was going to be the retoucher of the family business. And I went to this school that was named Veronica Cass National School and began to make my artistic work using Prismacolor and matte lacquer. And then I started graphic design, and I started to work with collage. And then my mother was a businesswoman, and she brought to Mexico this dry mounting and laminating heat press and all these techniques. And she was the one who taught me how to embed dry flowers and natural elements in my pictures. This, of course, at that time was for my private clients. And then my career was 30 years as a professional editorial photographer until 2016. I wanted to be an artist really. And I made my first exhibition in 1990. But then I liked editorial design, and with my mom and sister, I started a photography magazine called FotoForum. But then I was designing and these great photographs of great photographers, and I said, "What am I doing here, sitting in a chair? I want to go out in the world and do this work." So I did it. I spent 30 years in editorial photography, and I also acquired my own network of private clients and went on. There are thousands of negatives, analog transparencies, and digital photography in my historical archive since 1984. And I used two different formats, 35 millimeter and medium format. This was the kind, at the end of these 30 years, I was the photographer of the National Opera for many years. And I took the production, all that involves to make an opera, and also took the show. And it was a wonderful time for me, and I learned a lot. And I made, of course, a series, an artistic series later on of opera pictures. But then 2 dimensions for me were not enough. Maybe it happens to you, but at that time it was 2007, and 2 dimensions. I started to wanted to make new things, at least for my private clients. I did weddings, I did families, events, I did everything, like many of the professional photographers. So I started giving out to my clients these things. Of course, I made this picture with one of my pictures in my archive from '94, but for just wanted to show you how I started to embed these elements. And then life changed. I reinvented myself. A decade ago, my mother fell ill with a serious illness. She was in my care for a couple of years, and when she died, my world fell apart. Right there, I decided I needed to reinvent myself and rescue my dream of being a contemporary artist, because when I exhibited, I was a postmodern artist. I started using the first 3 letters of my middle name and my mother's last name in her memory and honor. And then I began to study and research the history of the generations of photographers that preceded me. I'm working with my father, and I think my father is in the audience. Hello, Dad. Thank you for being here. We are making a book to tell the history of our family. I think we can tell a story of photography with the evolution of the lighting through our studio, the cameras all the photographers use, the developing and retouching formulas, how society changed, fashion, among other things. It's being passionate, and I hope we are almost done. And we don't have time to share this, but it's something that I've researched to do my work. For example, this is my great-grandfather studio in 1917. It's not his first studio, but it's the only evidence we have since the beginning of the century. My father, who remembers everything, he said that he used, of course, he was in a top roof, like the photographers of the time, because he used natural light. But he was already using and making tests with an electrical light and gas light. And he made his own backgrounds, and look at the prop and the pedestal camera. It was a 5x7. So it's really, really beautiful to see. And then in the process, I unlearn and then relearn many things that I used to work with while being a professional. And I started to make these contemporary pieces about my story. With all this in mind, 7 years ago, I began to develop my work in a live series I decided to call Disassemble, and started to experiment with what happens with our energy when we portray. And I call it Portraits of Energy. I'm working also in my own book to try to tell what happened in these experiments and why did I get into the concept that when we portray anything, energy. I started to undo, tear, burn, and disassemble as an analogy to try to find out, in essence, what a portrait really is. I also started to cut my own archival material and photographed it over a light box. The final pieces were out of focus photos of these reproductions of these compositions. Then let's go to what I want to share with you, especially cutting paper. My work parts from this question. What would it be like if photographs evolved like people? So I think paper is alive. It moves, breathes, depending on the weather, the humidity, and also with what and how you cut it. And of course, the emotion which you do it. I know if we are energy, and everything is energy, objects too. So when we work, we interact with those energies. So for example, if one day I'm sad or I'm mad or don't work, I don't work, because everything goes to the piece. No, I have a good exercise to share with you. For example, if you're going to work, for example, with a paper, close your eyes and try to see the papers without your eyes. Get familiar with it, know it, bless it. It has helped me. This is very handmade. It will help you to be in touch with your pieces. So I cut and hung and reproduced printed photos to make these kinds of experiments. After 30 years as a professional photographer seeking perfection, especially because of our studio, we deliver well done work as studios. I began to work when I began to be an artist in a more intuitive way, embracing imperfection and error. Error, imperfection. I give myself permission to it. So one of the things I like to do usually is I made these prints on bond paper at the stationery store. It's a good paper to work and not so expensive to experiment. I fold the cut strips and then reproduce them over different colors and textures. This, and for example, I want to tell you that I put names to the pieces, to the final pieces that are in my catalog, but all the rest that are not named are part of my experiments, but I usually kept them to remember or to share them, no? This, for example, it's a piece I experiment a lot. And finally, Xuan was, Xuan, the artist Xuan, who was so kind to share with me that the Awagami Japanese paper was the best to use. Oh, she was right. This paper is beautiful. I work with others, but for this kind of work, this paper is perfect. And then I'm very happy because this piece is going to be at Medium Festival of Photography next week at the Size Matter exhibition. It is one portraiture reproduced thousands and maybe thousands more times within a small piece. I inspired in Mexican rebozo, and my idea was to resemble and give justice. Of course, I won't get even near, but you know that artisans can stay like 6 months or 1 year or more making one rebozo, is thread by thread. So I wanted to make a kind of piece that resembled that. Let's go to the weaving. Weaving is like telling stories through our hands. What do you want to weave? Your dreams, fallen leaves from a tree, grandma's ribbons. I think weaving is like meditate. These are other pieces I have. For example, this bamboo, I sometimes take materials that are around me. This bamboo is from the garden, from the buildings I lived. I take them, no? I take them from the floor, and I take leaves, and I take everything I see. This piece that is my signature piece, I inspired in Mexican Baroque. And unfortunately, we don't have time that I could talk to you about the wonders of our culture and of the artisans in Mexico. But maybe another time. This is a big piece I made, and it was like 3 months making. It's the large piece of my golden lady, they call it. And so this is also, for example, bamboo from my house, from the garden. And this is Sisal Saka was playing later, what is that? And at some point, working with three-dimensional piece, you will have to take decisions. Decisions like, is this piece is only for experiment, to have joy, to the piece for the day, or I want to make an ephemeral work that will dissolve in a few days, or I want to make permanent work, for example, to say to the gallery, this is an archival piece, no, made with archival materials. So, for example, this one was glued with archival materials, no. So, for example, I use also Mexican plastic market bag. This bag resembles my adored grandmother that I loved very much. She went to the market with these bags, and she kept them for decades until the bag was already going to be turned, to be torn. So I made this piece with that love for her, and that's the idea behind it. I try to see the everyday objects in my home in a new way. I think they want to be part of a piece to tell a story. I try to look beauty in the ordinary. These bags remind me that when my mother, when we were very little, went to the bakery to buy the bread to have for dinner. And in Mexico, they give you the bread in these beautiful bags. And so you can go to your history, your narrative. Which are the objects that remind you these joy moments in your life to make pieces? No, I'm sorry. I make several sketches before a final piece. I experiment a lot, and only more or less about 5%, or so very little of my work becomes a piece for my catalog. No, this is my best friend Laura, and I was working in a piece of her, about her, and finally this was the final piece. And you see, I use this time sisal market sack. And this is a petate. It's a type of rock, woven carpet or mat made of fibers from palm plant. But I also use thin palm that it's colored, no, and I can make finer works with it. And of course, I use my signature tool, that is the serrate scissor, for my edges. I love to do that because that resembles to the bags of the bakery. And then let's go to the embedding. What elements are there stored in a drawer or in the forms near your house that are looking to live in your photographs? Let me tell you about my Komali series. That is, I was interested in going to the past and reviewing how we portray, well, not portray, how we represented in pre-Hispanic times, before the Spanish came to Mexico to conquer us. So I went to the Mendocino Codex, and then turning the pages, I saw the drawing of a Komali. A Komali is the griddle. It's the comal that all in Mexico use in their homes, almost everyone, to bake tortillas. But look, we are using the same object since 500 years ago, the same way. The comal remains in our houses, watching our families, no? And so I started to make my pieces, all resembling ideas of the Mendocino Codex, in the profile, the black and white. I don't have time to explain it in profound, but I embed my works with materials that I still use in Mexico since pre-Spanish time, and also from nowadays that we still use. No? And then, for example, the amate. No? I show this because I want you to see how I glue my pieces with archival adhesive tape. This is gummed linen tape. And it's very, very good and will attach, for example, bamboo. And I have here I wanted to come here. Look how this gum linen tape can attach bamboo, the sisal cord, whatever you like, no? And this, for example, my disassemble series stages 2, 3, and 4 are works, and they talk about, are part of my continuous exploration of portraiture as a reflection of energy and complexity of the human being. As when we see our face reflected in running water, it's never static. We're constantly moving, our states of mind shifting and evolving. We are like a perfect machine creating moments in our life. So here's another material, the jerga, slang, no? And I also put you, this is a different tape. This is a double-sided archival tape. At the end, I'll give you another brand because it's easier to buy than this one. And I think in all over the world, it's better known. And this is a tape in close up. And for example, I use a lot these cinnamon sticks that I always see in the market. I love Mexican markets. You can, as in any market in the world, but well, you get marveled at our Mexico is known because many food from Mexico went to the world. Jitomate, aguacate, and many other things. And you can see these cinnamons larger. This is not from Mexico, of course, but I mean, you can see them in the market. And it's a natural antifungus. So it's good if you can work with it very well. I'm sorry. This piece was inspired by feather art made by the Amantecas in pre-Hispanic times. The Amantecas were the artisans who made clothing and ornaments made of feathers. Maybe you remember the Moctezuma plume of our feather art. I use a tapered old owl to use to put the feather in the paper. But basically, I invite you to see all the tools in your home. You never know, maybe a spoon work for you, a stick. You never know what kind. I gather all kind of tools that I say, this will help you to make a piece in the future. So if you see my tools, I have everything. You know, for example, I go to the markets and they give me this as a gift, the people in the market, these cords that we use to carry boxes or fruit, to wrap bags for fruit or vegetables. Of course, I cleaned them and disinfected them. But I think that letting them know exactly how they gave it to me could tell a story of the people that used it. And I don't do things alone, as I do think many artists know. We are always surrounded with beautiful people, my assistants, freelance collaborators, suppliers, the labs, no, I'm grateful for all. And I want to show you what's the agave thread. You can take it from a zacate that we used to rub, to bath, and to clean. And this is the famous sisal cord. Mexico is a great exporter of it because we have a lot of, it comes from the agave plant. Look how they take it. It's a whole process. And there are many, many kinds of agave plants, but basically it's this. And sometimes I have an idea and the lab, like a magician, produces it for me. I have the idea, but they started to oh, we can do it like this. So don't stop if you have an idea. Go and let people that know I have the tools to make it. No, like this series of works I did, they helped me a lot. And I also work with tinted silk with organic colors like grana cochineal that comes from the cactus and pericon. Well, there are a lot of organic colors, and that's another. You can take workshops for this in Mexico. It's wonderful, and each time my work, as you see, became more sculptural each time. No, and let me tell you something. This I was I went to an exhibition in Mexico and I found that the chimali. The chimali was the shield that the Aztecs, the Tenochcas, the Nahuas used in the Anahuac or in that period of time for war. No? So there are like 5 in the world, but you can still see the agave thread through it. So I say I want to make my own contemporary piece, and thanks to experimental archaeology, we now know exact the technique. Please take, if you want to see it, take a picture of the link, and it's a video of how it was made. And so I made my piece, of course, with feathers, and I love to share this. This is the Virgin of Guadalupe. She's not really still a religious icon. She's an identity icon for us Mexicans. This is the reproduction that one of the photographers of my family, my great grand uncle, Felix Leonelli, took in 1952. And my father was the assistant. Hey. And the story is fascinating of how they took the picture. But this is the contemporary version I made. And for the frame, I used clothespins, and I put the names of food, elements that relate to Mexico, but also people that stand out in the world, like Guillermo del Toro, Luis Barragán, Graciela Iturbide, Isaac Hernández, Malinche, Aguacate, Náhuatl, Salma Hayek, Azteca, Tequila. And then I made the corn with crumb technique, but you can use also modeling clay to make these kinds of pieces. The corn husks, I let them dry, and I protected them with resin. And many things can be embedded in a photograph. I wanted to put, when I was writing this, almost anything, and then I said, no, anything can be embedded in a picture, in a photo. Really, I think everything. One thing is that it's going to be, some are going to be ephemeral, and others can be archival like this one. But I think anything can tell a story with photography. So look around, what's your treasured element in your life where you can tell a story, no? I put this one because I kept a photo of my studio with a metallic stainless steel, if you can see it hang there. And that's how I started to think about the pieces. I have an idea, I put it in my board, and I put sticks with words. I learned that from Perla in my school in Note Center. I took a wonderful course about who developed the series, and it's wonderful. I think that's very important for when I was an emergent photographer to learn that. Because I became an artist 7 years ago. I mean, I was a professional in photography, but I had to learn how to be an artist, the processes, the making of the web page, everything. So the first time I started to use copper wire in 2019. And let's go to the photo sculptures. What do we really capture when we go portray? What does a portrait really is? I started by this time, 2020, I had the concept. I knew about quantum physics, that matter is an illusion. We are invisible beings that can only see each other by the reflection of light. And of course, objects are invisible too, and plants and everything is invisible. We only see everything because of the photons. And that's all the theory behind my experiments with taking pictures, no? What is the thing that is remaining? But that's another story. And then I was looking for an inspiration. How can I make the structure of my new pieces working with this concept? And I was one day in the Milpa, and I am so sorry. I don't know. I forgot to quit my WhatsApp. I'm so sorry. I'm nervous. And then I went into the Milpa and found this flower, no? And then this flower gave me the idea of my photo sculptures. In these photo sculptures, we cannot see a face, a body, or a life story, but only the feeling and perception that I had when portraying the person evoked as an energy structure, because in essence, that is what we are. I'm so sorry. Well, the nervous. Inside our cells are atoms, and inside them are electrons and particles. And inside the smallest particles, there are only filaments of energy moving very fast. And then so I started working in my photo sculptures, and I was very happy and it was going well. And then I started to work with the perception. When I portray somebody, what's the feeling I had? And after 1 year of work, I discovered that it was not what I was looking for. I needed another type of structure. At this point, feedback from portfolio reviews and from my consultants, key. So finally, I had my new idea that it was Portraits of Invisible, Volume 2 Connected. And in this series, my intention was to get to know my grandfather, Armando Herrera, through making my own contemporary version of his extraordinary portraits that span around 80 years. As a structural element, I use red copper because copper is the best energy conductor, and also because Mexico happens to be one of the main exporters of copper in the world. And this was important to me because I stated in my statement and in the catalog that the artist celebrates the beauty of imperfection and the passage of time in print stripes, which will naturally transport in shape over time. She has also chosen to leave the edges of fabric unbound so that over time they may naturally unravel. Finally, I found a way to resemble that we evolved. And as I'm talking about, these are portraits, so I wanted my pieces to evolve. So I took one of my grandfather's archive pictures, then I did my contemporary version, and then I made a photo sculpture. In this case, for example, I took wood protected with liquid adhesive. I put a little bit of cinnamon as an unfungible material. And then I had to design a special loom because I whip with my hands some pieces, but I want to make bigger pieces, and I didn't find the way to make the structure strong and that stayed one way. So I designed this, and the key for the pieces to remain in place was to finish the edges with detailed wire. So who are you? What is your story? What do you want to wrinkle, cut, treasure, or weave? I hope these processes inspire you. Thank you. Here.
That
I'm
was
sorry I don't.
fantastic, Lou.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm so sorry about the WhatsApp. And
It happened.
I have a video.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I'm sorry, let me share again to put the sound. Okay. Okay, it's command 3, and let's go. That's it.
I love that
Thank
video.
you.
I love the reveal to the beautiful women in their colorful clothing too. Um, so inspiring. Thank
Thank
you so much. I'm wondering if there are any questions or comments. I see a lot of feedback in the chat, but I haven't seen any questions yet.
While we receive a question, did I say that my father was in the, I hope he was in the audience? Ah, yes, thank you, Dad. I don't remember to have said, but he's 90-year-old, of course, all the time up to date, and he is joining us, and that makes me happy.
Hi, Dad.
Ah, he's there.
Everyone's saying hi, Dad. That's wonderful. You must be so proud.
I
He
hope.
went away.
Yeah,
Um,
he's there.
it's so
So,
it's so interesting
oh,
that. Sorry, go ahead. Was there a question?
no, the tools, do you want me to share that if there's no
Yeah,
question?
that'd be great.
The let me share again. It was only because if there was time, so there is time. Let me put here screen. Look here is these are the tools I use. These Nevanon scissors on the right have been my best investment. Because normal scissors won't work very well. And these are the tweezers, the bamboo sticks, and also the adhesives. You can go to the Lineco brand in the web. And of course, all fat cutters are very good. And that's it for the sharing. But
Wonderful. I
it could
just
help.
saw a question. Um, so Carlton asks, do you feel compelled to continue changing your process? How essential is experimentation to your work?
For me, it's essential. Each stage is different. For example, now I feel like confident and I to share all what I've experimented because I've tried it a lot. And since 1 year ago, I'm working in a new series, totally different. And I think I will continue in that line. For me, it's very important to look for new techniques, new ideas, new work. The only way, the only time I repeat a piece is because fortunately I have sold one piece in the gallery and I make a new one. But for the rest, I all the time I'm thinking new. That's my word, innovation. I'm guided for that, you know, to push limits, to 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 do things for the first time, to not be ashamed, not be shy, to do something that is so strange to put in a gallery because that's what happened. No, that was a concept and the piece was like that. But with the years and with me on happens to all artists, no? When they explain their concept, people understand, no? So that's my answer. Thank you for the question. I love it. Thank you, Carlton.
Um, Bridget asks, or Bridget says, "Hi Lou, thank you for this wonderful talk. You mentioned that you felt you needed to give yourself permission to make mistakes to be an artist. Can you talk about why, from your perspective, you
Yes.
think it's such a challenge for people to embrace mistakes?"
I know some of you have been professional photographers. I live in a constant stress in my life. First, because I was part of a very renowned studio in Mexico, and we have to do perfect things, quality things. And then working with transparencies, taking a portrait, you only have 36 photos and no time and no test and only a Polaroid, but it's not in the camera because 35 millimeters. All those 30 years of course, it was a joy, many things, but I only remember stress in general. And so when I decided to become an artist after, of course, a tragedy period, a depressed period, I like came liberated to try new things. There was no need for perfection. I give permission myself to do things and throw them away, no, and or to do them for me, and no, that was very liberating. As I'm 60-year-old, I'm not afraid to say it because I know if someone is listening to me and already had started one profession in their life and want to change, I started at 53 and I'm here at 60, and I'm continue doing. I'm kind of progressing, so don't be afraid. The world is waiting for your art, for your feelings, for your personality, for you to tell your story. No, that's why I tell my age. It's not very nice, but that's my answer. Thank you.
I think it's wonderful that you say your age. I don't know why people are, it's nothing to, I think it is what it is, right? We don't need to be hung up
Exactly.
on it or afraid to say what age we are. Although there is a lot of ageism out there. There is,
Exactly.
that's just true.
Yes, they are. Thank God. It's a lot of stories. No, I don't retouch wrinkles anymore. Not in my portraits, not in mine, because that's what we used to do in studios, right? Because
Yeah,
my father always said, wrinkles are the story of the person. So I am attached with that. I remain that. I remember that. Sorry to
that's
interrupt.
wonderful. So Jenna asks, how do you choose which photographs become woven photographs? Do you experiment with multiple images or select
Mira,
or
many
select
artists
one and play
say,
with the materials and its relationship to the image?
I'm sorry, the last question was?
Do you
The
experiment
last
with
part.
multiple images or select one and play with the materials and its relationship to the image?
Okay. I've 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 watched many interviews with artists, and many artists says this, and I really believe it because it happens to me. If you really concentrate in what you're doing and you get in touch with the material or the photo you are doing, the material or the photo will tell you what do you have to do. And so, for example, I have a portrait, and then I think of sisal string, no? And then through my mind comes cinnamon. And then I start trying, no? And when you experiment, that's the part of the experiment, the process, you say, oh, this goes very well. And the people and the picture, the portrait looks that you like it. It flows, no? There's no doubt. And that's how I work, very intuitively. In communication, remember, we are energy, we are talking all the time. It's an endless conversation. That is part of my experimentation. When we portray, what goes into uh, the support, digital or analog, is energy from what you are photographing, a person or a thing, and yours too. So when you print that, the conversation keeps going. And when you put it in the wall, you keep conversation. So that's how you keep that communication to with the piece. No?
Fantastic. I love your energy. Um,
Thank you.
did you have any interest in being a conceptual fine artist in all the time you were a commercial photographer? When did this desire slash dream come about?
Yes, since I was little, I wanted to be a singer, and but I didn't have that voice that was led me. Uh, I was not able to become a great singer, so I forgot about that. But when I was 12, I paint a lot, and I remember that day. Maybe it happens in your family. My mother and my father hung one picture of me of one of my drawings, and I said, "Oh, somebody liked my drawing." That stayed in my mind, and And I like to draw. I like to play the piano. I was very, I had talent in my hands. No, that's one of the things I have. So yes, I wanted to be an artist, and as nobody in my family, in my brothers, no one wanted to be a photographer. But then we saw all the marvelous that photography can give us, and we became photographers, all of us. So yes, I wanted to be an artist, and in 1990, I made my exhibition, but it was a postmodern era. There were no portfolio reviews, no calls, no spaces for women. Were very many, at least in Mexico. So I forgot about it, and I wanted to travel, and I had this amazing life meeting people. But yes, it always stayed with me. I want to be an artist. See.
That's wonderful. Um, have you worked with sculptures in the shape of cactus or chocolate?
No, and I've seen a few artists working with cactus, and I love it. Sorry, I cannot remember the names, but no, that's a good idea. No, I haven't working cactus shape. No, I've taken for, as you see in the video, the last part is a video from the milpa, and I've taken those videos, and that's part of a video that I never finished. I just have joy taking it, but not a shape. Like, great idea. Thank you.
Um, Rosie asks, what is the reaction of people that you photograph after they see your photo sculptures?
What is the reaction?
Yeah.
Uh, Um, I think they don't tell me some. Also, some. I think it's a contrast. Sometimes people wonder, and they tell me, oh, this is amazing. And I truly believe it, no? And others, I think they prefer not to say anything because they don't understand or they don't like it. I think that the in my heart, the answer or the feeling to my photo sculptures is a contrast, I guess, maybe. See, but I've learned something, and I had to learn because I am a very emotional person. I have that's why I don't know, because I have learned from my teachers that when you make a piece, and it's a piece that you made with your intention, with your love, and with all the good things that you have to let it go, and you have to let the people think whatever they need to think, and you have to let people to feel what they need to feel, because that's what art is for. That's what the pieces are. Maybe they are mad, they get mad, and that's perfect. Maybe something is going to be healed inside. So you have to let it. That's why I don't know. It's not that I don't care. I'm telling you, I wish they love everybody love my pieces, but I know we resonate with pieces in many ways. My wish is that my pieces would heal some part of the person, no, as a hope, no. But that's what I feel. With we have to let it go, and bless them to find their home or their collection. Or I bless my pieces. No, go find your home, find no place. See.
I love that. Um, let's see. Lisa says, it seems as though your deconstruction makes room for an extended story.
That's why it's a, if I understood well the question, it's a live series. That means I will continue it, I think, since I'm gone. Yes, there is room for for many things. I know I can. That's why when a stage is finished, I I start another one, because I learned so much from the previous one, and everything I learned and that is missing, I try to embed it in the next one. No,
Hmm.
so there are some things that I'm working now that are not in the previous series. But when I finish a series, it's a serious ending. It's because if not, it's like making a book and you keep editing and editing it. It's okay to finish a piece as it is, a series. I think so, because if not, you will never end. No? I truly believe yes, there's room for more, but I think there is a time to end. No, that you feel that it's okay. I feel it's full. I feel it's okay. That's what I think. And maybe with time, in the next series, you see, okay, I'm going to put this in here. No, it's a never-ending story. I think. Yes, thank you. Who told me that?
Um, Jenna also asks, you spoke about the hope that your pieces heal parts of the people who are pictured in them. I think
Uh-huh.
Lou also meant, and who experience them. But then Jenna asked, do your, what parts of you do your pieces heal?
Oh, that's a very beautiful and very difficult question to answer. I think as when we see, remember what psychologists say about if you like people, that's part of you that you like, no? And when you don't like people, that's a part of you that you have to heal. So I cannot say because making the pieces, it's very intuitive, like in a meditated state. And as any people, I have my tragedies, my bad times, my loves, my partners, my no, I cannot tell you exactly what part, but what is a reality that making art heals me. You see, absolutely.
That's lovely. So there's a lot of wonderful comments in here about how
Oh,
much
thank you.
people enjoyed your talk,
Thank you.
and I don't think I see any other questions. I am Susan just coming in. When I work with my hands to make work, my whole state of being is different than when I am using the camera. Can you talk about this if it is an experience you have too? Thank you.
uh, the state of mind taking a picture and making pieces. It's
She's
yes.
saying when
Uh,
she works with her hands, her of being is different than when she's taking a photograph with,
oh yes. When you
yeah,
take
with a camera.
when you take a portrait, you cannot not lose your eyesight to whom you are portraying. That is one of the things that is going to be in the book. A whole code for making a portrait. It's a whole list of things that I inherited, and it's like being gaze, no, and looking at the so that the person would really feel free and be herself or himself. The person be you can capture the essence of that person. And when you're working with the pieces, it's like a meditated state. No, you can even close your eyes. You can flow with the energy. No, it's a
Mm,
different activity, very different. See, see.
that's lovely. Thank you so much. Well, we have time for one more question if there is one. Otherwise, we are coming to the end of our time. And I just wanted to thank you so much, Lou, for this talk. Lou and I have talked about her doing a workshop through the center, and so we'll let you know if that when that happens.
Thank you.
But oh, Lisa asked when your book is coming out and what will it be called and where do you get it?
It's still it's an ongoing process, but please follow me in my Instagram. There's an Instagram for the book. It's Lou Peralta. No, no, I'm sorry. It's the Herrera Archives. So we will be putting there how's the process, and so we can be in communication. No?
Wonderful. Thank you. And we will
Thank
share
you
that.
for
If you
all
share that with
your.
us, we'll share that
Sure. Oh, thank you.
On our Instagram as well. We're happy
See, we're
to
still in
promote that.
the editing, we are still trying to find the editor, the best, the suitable editor for it. And I just want to tell you thank you for all your comments. I want to send a message, but it won't go, or I don't know. Thank you. I'll read them afterwards, and thank you all for being here and for your comments. I really appreciate it. Ceci.
All right. Thank you all. See
Thank
you in a
you.
couple months.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Gracias.